The unveiling came against the backdrop of the California night sky. The new B-21 bomber looks a bit like a Stingray.
In the boundless expanse of the Pacific Ocean, where the horizon stretches endlessly into the unknown, a remarkable event unfolded that left eyewitnesses in a state of wonder and disbelief. High above the waves, a sleek and strange aircraft emerged from the clouds. Its design shrouded in secrecy and intrigue. Just as they were about to get a better look, the aircraft vanished into thin air. What is this strange aircraft? And how did it manage to be stealthy, soaring silently through the skies? Join us as we unravel the secret airplane that was spotted by sailors over the Pacific Ocean, unveiling Pentagon's secret power. Finding out the Pentagon's secrets is like trying to solve a mystery that nobody has cracked. However, sometimes strange events linked to hidden military bases catch people's attention. Recently, a fishing boat cruised through the vastness of the Pacific Ocean on its way to Vancouver when suddenly the crew spotted something peculiar in the sky. It's an object, unlike any typical aircraft, with a shape that's hard to describe. But what's truly baffling is how it moved, or rather didn't move. Then, just like that, it vanishes into thin air, leaving the fishermen scratching their heads. Naturally, they shared their bizarre encounter online, and soon enough, the story spread like wildfire. It became so big that even the Pentagon started to feel a little uneasy. In a hurry, the military explained, claiming that what the fishermen saw was just a US drone undergoing some routine aerodynamics testing. It sounds reasonable, right? But here's the twist. Nobody bought. As it happened, the military's little slip of information was just a clever trick to divert attention from something much more fascinating they've been keeping under wraps. It was actually the very same aircraft they've been testing over the Pacific Ocean. And guess what? This plane had an incredible superpower. It could vanish into thin air, not only from radars, but also from plain sight. More than 20 years ago, the X44 Manta was like a secret potion bubbling away in the cauldron of the US Air Force, stirring up a storm of excitement as a revolutionary idea for stealthy planes. When it finally strutted onto the scene, it was like something out of a futuristic movie. It was simply ahead of its time. What really blew everyone's socks off was the fact that it didn't have a tail. This left experts scratching their heads in disbelief. By ditching the tail, the X-44 became even sneakier than America's top-notch F-22 because it could sneak past radars without a trace. But that's not all. Those clever minds at Lockheed Martin didn't stop there. They had more tricks up their sleeves. The X-44 wasn't just a tailless wonder, it was a speed demon too. It could go from 0 to Mach 1 in just 7 seconds flat. Talk about a rocket ship. And if that wasn't impressive enough, they also souped it up to climb a whopping 12 miles into the sky, giving it eagle-eyed vision to scope out vast areas with its super-precise radars. And you know what they say about a flashy ride needing some serious firepower, right? Well, the X-44 was no exception. It was armed to the teeth with ultra-fast hypersonic missiles and bombs that could be adjusted on the fly. The X-44 was pitched as a glimpse into the future of fighter jets, building upon the legacy of the iconic F-22 Raptor. They didn't just offer 1 or 2 versions. They rolled out a whopping 6 options for the Air Force to choose from. Lockheed Martin joined forces with NASA to delve into the idea of crafting a nimble fighter that doesn't need its tail to steer. This idea hinges on using thrust vector controls to maneuver the plane mid-air. The power of thrust vectoring. Thrust vectoring control, also known as TVC, is a method used to enhance an aircraft's ability to maneuver by adjusting the direction of its engine thrust. Imagine it like giving an airplane more power to turn, climb, or tilt. Aircraft like the Harrier, F-35B, and Yak-38 are equipped with thrust vectoring, which allows them to control their movement not just straight ahead or down, but also in various directions in between. Put simply, when we talk about thrust vectoring for maneuverability, it's about making aircraft more agile in the sky. This concept was put to the test in 1987 with the High Alpha Research Vehicle program using a modified FA-18 Hornet. This aircraft already had a reputation for being able to handle high angles of attack, and by adding thrust vectoring,
it became even more capable. The tests showed that thrust vectoring could keep the aircraft stable at angles of attack up to 70 degrees, a significant improvement over its previous limit of 55 degrees. It also boosted the aircraft's roll rates, making maneuvers possible that were previously thought impossible.
Seeing the potential of this technology, Lockheed Martin incorporated it into their prototype YF-22, later known as the F-22 Raptor. This gave the F-22 an advantage in winning the Advanced Tactical Fighter competition for the U.S. Air Force. It became the first fighter to use thrust vectoring in North America. Russia took notice of this innovation and started equipping their already agile fighters with thrust vectoring as well. But they didn't stop there. They pushed the boundaries even further. Instead of just using thrust vectoring along one direction like the F-22, Russia decided to take it a step further by incorporating three-dimensional thrust vectoring. This means they added the ability to control the aircraft's movement along all axes: pitch, roll, and yaw. The Su-37 showcased remarkable maneuverability never seen before, performing backflips, somersaults, and controlled flat spins thanks to this advanced technology. Nowadays, this three-dimensional thrust vectoring is applied to aircraft like the Su-30SM. But how does thrust vectoring actually work? It's quite simple. By manipulating the direction of the engine's exhaust gases, thrust vectoring adds force to different axes of the aircraft. Special nozzles at the back of the engines can direct these gases up, down, or sideways by up to 20 to 30 degrees. These nozzles function similarly to traditional control surfaces, but without needing airflow over them to work. They only require the engines to be running. This gives aircraft equipped with thrust vectoring a significant advantage, especially at low speeds and high angles of attack. For pitch control, the thrust vectoring nozzles will point upwards. So, imagine when the X44 needs to lift its nose up more forcefully. Thrust vectoring helps with that by applying pressure downwards on the tail, making the nose rise quicker. It operates similarly for steering the aircraft left or right, known as yaw, or for tilting it sideways, referred to as roll. It's like pushing one end of a seesaw to make the other end go up. These thrust vectoring controls operate just like regular control surfaces, but they're much more efficient, about 10 times more effective. This technology isn't just for airplanes. It's been used in space exploration too. In space, where there's no air for traditional control surfaces to work, thrust vectoring becomes the only viable option to maneuver spacecraft. Unraveling the X44 Mystery. Lockheed Martin took an interesting approach. Instead of starting from scratch, they used the design of the F-22 Raptor as a basis for their new project. Even though the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter had already started testing 3 years earlier, the F-22 was still seen as America's top fighter, partly because of its thrust vector control. At the same time, there was another concept based on the F-22, called the Sea Raptor. While the X-44 aimed to make the F-22 stealthier by changing its tail, the Sea Raptor project imagined putting F-22s on aircraft carriers. These jets could fly faster, cover more distance, and carry more weapons than the F-35C meant for carrier duty. The F-22 Raptor was already different from other fighters because it was designed to be stealthy from the start. While older air superiority fighters like the F-15 relied on pure performance and later added special coatings for stealth, the F-22 was made to be hard to detect from the beginning. Its powerful engines also let it fly really fast, up to Mach 2.25, and its thrust vector controls helped it dodge incoming missiles effectively. The X-44, though, had more tricks up its sleeve. While the F-22 could carry 6 air-to-air weapons internally, and the F-35 only 4, the X-44's wider body hinted at the potential for a bigger payload. Think of it like a bigger backpack, able to carry more ammo and go further distances. This idea of beefing up fighter jets isn't new. Back in the day, they did something similar with the F-16XL. It had this cool wedge-shaped body that gave it better performance and more room for fuel and weapons compared to the regular F-16. So, The X-44 was like the F-16XL's cooler, stealthier cousin, promising to kick things up a notch in both sneaking around and kicking butt. But here's where things get mysterious. Just when everyone was excited about the X-44, it vanished into thin air, almost like it was never there. People were scratching their heads. Officially, the military said they never gave it the green light, but rumors started swirling. Some said NASA was interested, but that seemed fishy. Then, out of the blue, fishermen spotted a plane that looked suspiciously like the X-44, pulling off disappearing acts like a magician. Turns out, the project wasn't dead. It was just playing hide and seek. The Pentagon, realizing the potential of this super-secretive fighter, decided to erase all traces of it before anyone else caught on. So, while it seemed like the X-44 had vanished, it was actually alive and well, undergoing some serious upgrades. And now, its concepts are popping up in official Air Force plans, hinting at a future where stealthy, powerful fighters rule the skies. The X-44s, a lethal arsenal. The X-44's power comes from the Pratt & Whitney F119 engine, born in the USA in 1982 for the NextGen fighter jets. This engine still rocks with its length of 5.16 meters, a diameter of 1.138 meters, and weight of 1,800 kilograms. It packs a punch with a max thrust of 156 kilonewtons. Its nozzle can swivel the exhaust to steer, unlike the F-22's nozzle, which only goes up and down. This flexibility lets the F-22 do its thing, flying straight while aiming at foes. Russia, usually keen on copying US tech, had to throw in the towel with their Su-57. They couldn't mimic the F-22's stealthy S intake or its fancy nozzle. It's just too high-tech for them. Lockheed Martin had a solid blueprint for the X-44, including an M60 OV A2 Vulcan 20mm gun, a trusty piece of kit for US planes. This gun's got 6 barrels, spinning once per shot to cut wear and tear. It can shoot up to 7,200 rounds a minute, but in a real fight, it usually keeps it chill at 400 to 6,000 rounds a minute. But let's be real, the Vulcan's not the star of the show. Dogfights are cool, but for long-distance hits, the X-44 relies on its air-to-air missiles and bombs. Lockheed Martin says it can carry AIM-120 and AIM-9 missiles, ready to pack a punch from afar. The AIM-120 missile is a big deal worldwide. It's like the rock star of air combat tech, hailed as the most advanced air superiority weapon out there. Since it first hit the scene, it's been on a constant upgrade journey, with over 4,000 test runs and winning more than 10 air-to-air battles. The United States boasts that no other missile even comes close. With its snazzy radar guidance and explosive punch, it's a beast in any fight. The AIM-9 Sidewinder, its short-range cousin, is no slouch either. It's a staple in the US military's arsenal, with over 100,000 produced and more than 10 improved versions kicking around. This infrared-guided missile is a go-to in combat, tracking targets with ease until it hits the mark. Now, let's talk ground bombs. The X-44 can pack a variety, from MK-80 aerial bombs to J-dams. This arsenal gives it serious firepower for taking on enemies, and its stealthiness lets it slip deep into enemy territory. It's like a silent assassin, taking out troops and equipment without a whisper. The secrets of next-gen aircraft. While the X-44 idea might not fit perfectly into the NGAD aircraft puzzle, there are definitely some similarities between the two. It's no secret that the US military has been cooking up a 6th-gen NGAD aircraft for a while now. In 2021, word got out that they already had some test planes up in the sky, possibly the next big thing for the Air Force, though nothing's set in stone yet. Back in the day, the US military had a habit of churning out new fighter designs every few years, like the F-1XX series in the 1950s. These crafts laid the groundwork for jet fighters in the 60s and 70s, keeping costs down and the fleet fresh. The NGAD program is kind of following suit, experimenting with different designs and seeing what sticks. Some might make it to the big leagues, while others might just be digital dreams. Since the X-44 is like the F-22's cooler, smarter cousin, even if it doesn't become the star of the NGAD show, its ideas could still make a splash. Who knows, maybe future NGAD planes will borrow the X-44's sleek tailless style, like the Navy's FA-XX program. Back in 2009, Boeing teased a 6th-gen fighter concept, the FA-XX. It was a two-seater, twin-engine beast ready to rock in both manned and unmanned missions. But it was a bit hefty for the Navy's liking, weighing in at 18,000 kilograms. In April 2013, Boeing gave their original design concept a makeover. They slapped on some duck wings, but it turned out to be a bit of a mixed bag. Sure, it looked cool, but it messed with the plane's stealthiness, which was a big no-no for the NGAD program. The whole development process was a tough nut to crack. But hey, there's always a silver lining. They might have hit gold with thrust vector control. The US military already scored big with this tech on the F-15 active, so there's hope for a breakthrough. Remember that mysterious flying object people talked about at Area 51? Well, rumor has it, it could be the US Air Force testing out a prototype NGAD, maybe even borrowing some tricks from the X44 playbook. You see, in the US military, planes with an X in their name are all about pushing boundaries and testing out new ideas. From the legendary X-1 to the more recent X-59 QSST, these planes have paved the way for some serious air power. The X-59, for example, teamed up with Lockheed Martin and NASA to hush up the sonic boom of supersonic flight. If they crack this code, it could revolutionize not just military planes, but commercial airliners too. Imagine zooming across the sky at supersonic speeds without making a racket. It's the stuff of dreams. The Concorde, that famous speedster of the skies, was eventually kicked out of the commercial club because it made too much noise and annoyed everyone. But hey, the X44 and the X-59 are here to save the day. The X-44 ditches the tail, and the X-59 is all about keeping supersonic flights quiet. Both these crafts are like treasure troves of tech for the US Air Force and Navy, giving them some cool ideas for their NGAD fighter planes. Now, the US said they pulled the plug on the X-44 project, but they weren't sitting idle. They whipped up a bunch of other fighter planes based on the F-22, like the FB-22, NATF-22, and F-22B. The FB-22, for example, looks a lot like its big brother, the F-22, but with some fancy new wings and a bigger belly for more bombs. So here's the scoop. The FB-22, thanks to its fancy upgrades, can fly 3 times farther than the F-22, covering a whopping 2,600 kilometers. And when it comes to gadgets, most of the FB-22's toys are straight out of the X-44's playbook. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. In the vast expanse of the modern Pacific Ocean, a group of adventurous fishermen set out on their sleek vessel, equipped with the latest technology to navigate the treacherous waters. Little did they know that their routine expedition would soon thrust them into the heart of a mysterious encounter. As they cast their lines into the deep blue sea, their eyes were drawn to a peculiar shape gliding silently across the horizon. Intrigued, they trained their binoculars on the object, only to gasp in disbelief at what they saw. Hovering above the waves was a sleek and futuristic aircraft, unlike anything they had ever seen before. Its streamlined design and advanced propulsion systems hinted at a technology far beyond their comprehension. Excitedly, the fishermen attempted to capture the mysterious craft on camera, hoping to document their extraordinary sightings. But before they could snap a clear picture, the aircraft vanished into the clouds, leaving behind nothing but a sense of wonder and curiosity. Back on land, the fishermen shared their incredible story with the world, sparking a frenzy of speculation and intrigue. News outlets buzzed with theories about the origins and purpose of the mysterious aircraft, while conspiracy theorists speculated about secret government experiments and extraterrestrial visitors. Little did the world know that a US secret airplane had been spotted by the sailors over the Pacific Ocean. What do you think about what the sailors saw? A stealthy marvel in the skies. Over the years, the X-44 has gone through tons of changes, inching closer to becoming one of the greatest planes ever. The new X-44 is built to sneak into dangerous zones, get the job done, and zip out without a trace. It's got this fancy engine smack dab in the middle that can push it to speeds over 2,000 miles per hour. Talk about lightning fast, almost as fast as the legendary SR-71 Blackbird. But unlike the Blackbird, the X-44 isn't just a scout, it's a full-blown fighter. And besides being fast, it's a master of stealth. Originally, it had a stealthy coating, but now it's got something even cooler. The plane's lower half can see what the upper half sees, and vice versa. That's how it stays invisible to the naked eye.
Now, you might wonder how it pulls off this disappearing act. Well, it's all thanks to parallax. This fancy skin doesn't exactly deflect radar waves, but it's got a slick radar system that's one step ahead of the game. Instead of just trying to hide from radar, it plays mind games with it. Even if a radar sends out signals that should bounce back and reveal the plane's location, the X44 system intercepts those signals, messes with them, and sends out its own signals. It's like a ninja in the sky, tough to spot, even for the fanciest radar systems or sharp-eyed humans.
But wait, there's more to this mystery. Some folks say this secret plane might not even be a plane at all. It could be a top-secret drone. And you know what? That might just be true, considering the US knows a thing or two about cooking up sneaky drones with mind-blowing abilities. Take the Northrop Grumman X47B, for example. It's the world's first do-it-all attack drone, controlled from afar and packed with all sorts of cool tricks. If the Manta focuses on staying invisible, the X47B was built to take off and land on aircraft carriers all on its own. It's the only drone out there that can fold up its wings for maximum compactness, and even boasts real artificial intelligence to handle everything from takeoff to landing, no human required. Now that's some serious next-gen tech. With its unique features, the X47B has the potential to greatly enhance the strength of the United States Navy. But it's not just any ordinary drone. It's armed with some serious firepower. Instead of carrying your run-of-the-mill missiles, it's loaded with something much more devastating, the JDAM Smart Bomb. This bad boy weighs in at a whopping 2,200 pounds and packs a punch so powerful that even the most fortified and heavily armed targets aren't safe from its wrath. When it goes off, it sends heavy machinery flying through the air with its shockwave. However, while the United States has been flexing its drone muscle for a while now, its biggest rival, China, recently announced its own aircraft carrier-capable drone. Funny enough, though, they weren't the first ones to pull off this feat. One major limitation they're facing is figuring out how to refuel their drones mid-air without resorting to standard methods. Meanwhile, US weapon companies have already cracked that nut ages ago with the Boeing MQ-25 Stingray. The Stingray isn't your average drone, it's an unmanned tanker aircraft specifically designed to refuel planes while they're up in the sky. It's part of a development program by the US Navy, born from the Carrier-Based Aerial Refueling System program, which initially kicked off with the Unmanned Carrier-Launched Airborne Surveillance and Strike program. So while China might be catching up in some areas, the US has already got the edge in keeping its drones fueled and flying high. This high-tech drone took its maiden flight on September 19, 2019. Like other refueling drones, it's equipped with a Rolls-Royce engine that generates a thrust of 10,000 pounds, similar to the one used in the Navy's MQ-4C Triton. While it may not boast stealth capabilities like some other aircraft, its sleek design, inlet configuration, and V-shaped tail help it evade radar detection. In many ways, it shares similarities with the X-47B. It can reach a top speed of 450 miles per hour, fly at an altitude of 39,000 feet, and even fold its wings for carrier-based operations. However, this Boeing drone isn't built for battle, unlike combat drones. Its primary function is to refuel other drones, like the X-47B, safely. In fact, they often work together in tandem. The fighter jet heads out on a mission, drops its payload on an enemy target, and then the MQ-2 swoops in to refuel it. After refueling, the drone can launch again to deliver another strike. But if you're wondering about the top military drone in the world, look no further than the American MQ-9 Reaper, also known as the Predator B. Developed by General Atomics, this drone can be operated remotely or autonomously and is utilized by the U.S. Air Force. Despite its larger size and increased power compared to the MQ-1 Predator, it can be controlled using the same ground systems. Equipped with a more potent engine, the Reaper can carry 15 times more weapons and fly at approximately 3 times the speed of its predecessor. Its primary focus is long endurance and high-altitude surveillance, and it's the first UAV specifically designed for hunting and engaging targets. From surveillance to superiority, in 2006, General T. Michael Mosley highlighted a significant shift in the use of UAVs, moving beyond mere surveillance to embracing a true hunter-killer role, with the Reaper leading the charge. Fast forward to May 2021, and over 300 MQ-9 Reapers are deployed, with some already upgraded for enhanced combat capabilities. All new Reapers will receive these upgrades, ensuring they remain formidable until at least 2035. Priced at $30 million, the Reaper isn't just a U.S. military asset. It's also employed by Customs and Border Protection and various foreign militaries. A typical Reaper setup comprises multiple aircraft, ground control stations, communication equipment, and spare parts. The military flight team consists of a pilot, sensor operator, and mission intelligence coordinator. Powered by a 950 horsepower engine, it can reach speeds of 260 knots and maintain a cruising speed of 150 to 170 knots, with a wingspan of 66 feet. Capable of carrying up to 3,800 pounds, it can be armed with a variety of lethal weapons, including Hellfire missiles and 500-pound laser-guided bombs. During surveillance missions, the Reaper can operate for up to 30 hours, but when equipped with heavy weaponry, this duration reduces to 23 hours. It boasts an impressive range of 1,000 nautical miles and can soar to an altitude of 25,000 feet, making it invaluable for extended surveillance missions and providing support to ground troops. The Predator and Reaper are purpose-built military aircraft and aren't equipped to comply with civilian air traffic regulations. Despite requests to utilize the MQ-9 for search and rescue operations, following Hurricane Katrina in 2005, FAA approval was not granted. However, the Reaper's versatility shines through with its ability to accommodate various mission kits, allowing for different weapon and sensor configurations tailored to specific objectives. Equipped with the SAR GMTI sensor package, the Reaper boasts advanced surveillance capabilities, including color and monochrome daylight TV, infrared imaging, and laser rangefinding. Its multi-mode radar features synthetic aperture radar and ground-moving target indication, enabling it to detect and track both stationary and mobile targets over vast areas. The Reaper was also used to test the Gorgon Stair surveillance system, with Increment 1 operational from March 2011, covering 16 square kilometers. Increment 2, incorporating Argus sensors, expanded coverage to 100 square kilometers and became operational in early 2014. This system comprises 368 cameras, each capturing 5 million pixels, resulting in an image of approximately 1.8 billion pixels. The video is recorded at 12 frames per second, generating several terabytes of data per minute. In January 2012, General Atomics enhanced the Reaper's landing gear with a new design, offering several advantages. These include a 30% increase in weight capacity during landing, a 12% increase in takeoff weight, and a maintenance-free shock absorber, eliminating the need for nitrogen pressurization. The U.S. Air Force procured 38 Reaper Extended Range (ER) versions featuring external fuel tanks without compromising weapon capacity. These versions also boasted a robust landing gear, a 4-bladed propeller, a new fuel management system, and an alcohol water injection system to reduce the required runway for takeoff. These modifications increased the drone's endurance from 27 to 35 hours, with the possibility of further extending the wings for enhanced performance. Operational flights for the Reaper ER began in August 2015, with subsequent upgrades improving its capabilities. These upgrades included replacing the sensor ball with a high-definition camera, enhancing communication for better video quality, and new software for threat detection and tracking. Additionally, the Reaper gained the ability to fire missiles rapidly within 0.32 seconds of each other, known as super ripple firing. On February 25, 2016, General Atomics announced the successful testing of the new Predator B version, featuring longer wings spanning 79 feet, increasing its endurance to 40 hours. This version also boasted improved takeoff and landing capabilities, spoilers on the wings for precise automatic landings, and desync features. The continuous evolution of fighters and UAVs suggests that their development has not yet reached its peak, leaving room for further advancements, with the X44's mysteries added to the mix. What do you think about the X44? Let us know your opinion in the comments below.